You've probably heard of Dubai's golden visa. Well, here's what most people don't know. You can actually obtain this just by owning a property here. I'm Aidandoyle, and in this video, I'm going to be walking you through exactly how homeowners and investors are securing a 10-year golden visa just by owning real estate here in Dubai. Whether you're looking to move here, get tax benefits, or just build a global portfolio, then this is one of the best options for you in 2025. Let's start with the basics. So what is the golden visa here in Dubai? Well, it actually gives you residency for 10 years in the country, and it's renewable. That's the best part about it. For as long as you hold that asset, you're allowed to maintain your residency here in Dubai. You can live here, work here, open bank accounts here. You can even sponsor your family to move over here. And the best part about it, there is zero income tax. So if you're an end user or an investor, this changes everything. Because instead of the short-term stays and the headache of renewing your visa, you're getting long-term freedom. So whether you want to move your family here and have Dubai as a full-time residency, or you want to have Dubai as a base where you can travel the world and you can freely come in and out of the country, then both options are great for both people. It's not a tourist visa. It's a stable 10-year residency here in Dubai, and it's a golden one. So the big question you're probably all waiting for is, how do you actually get it? Well, the number is 2 million dirhams. That is the threshold in order to obtain the golden visa here, which equates to around $550,000. Now, although the threshold is at 2 million dirhams, it doesn't mean that you need to actually pay that off in liquid cash. You can leverage payment plans, you can leverage bank loans, you can leverage mortgages. There's multiple ways that you can leverage in order to get that 2 million dirham asset. So let's look at an off-plan property at first. You can buy an off-plan property at 2 million dirham on a payment plan, and although you might have only paid 10-20% of that asset, you can still go ahead and get yourself that golden visa because you are the owner of the asset and you would be expected to make them payments along the payment plan. For whatever reason, if you defaulted on the payment plan or you couldn't make a payment, well then of course, because your golden visa is attached to that property, it would be terminated. Now here's the thing, you could buy multiple properties and have your golden visa attached to one. So you have to be careful with which property you attach your golden visa to and ensure that you're keeping up your payments with that asset. So if you want to change your golden visa onto another asset, you can do that, but it's a different process. But does that mean that you have to have 2 million dirham invested in one asset? No, of course not. You could buy 5 assets and they could be valued at 400,000 each. As long as your gross portfolio is over 2 million dirhams, then you can obtain the golden visa. Another option is to buy a single ready unit. So a property that's already handed over, you can mortgage it because it's ready, or you could buy it outright in cash, whatever you prefer. And the final one, which is probably the most interesting one, maybe you didn't actually intend to gain a golden visa. Maybe you bought an asset in Dubai 5 years ago. Maybe you purchased that at 1 million dirham. Well, do you still qualify? That all depends on what the current value of the asset is. So believe it or not, even though you could have bought an asset 5 years ago at 1 million dirham, as long as that property is valued above 2 million dirham now, then you can obtain the golden visa, which is great because Dubai's market is booming and the appreciation year on year is phenomenal. And yes, in case you're wondering, both you and your spouse can have co-ownership on an asset as long as both your names are on the title deed, which is the legal document to show ownership here in Dubai. And you get it once you've transferred the property from the previous owner's name into your name. Once you have that title deed, the process usually takes around 7 to 10 business days for you to get your residency here in Dubai. However, you do need to remain in the UAE. Now here's where it gets interesting. Most people only focus on the visa, but it's a lot more than just a legal document. Let me give you some real perks of owning a residency here in the UAE. Firstly, you can sponsor your kids, your parents, your spouse, pretty much your whole family. Secondly, you can open a bank account here very easy. Some people struggle getting a bank account as a non-resident, but as soon as you get your golden visa, it makes the process seamless. And you can also get a checkbook, which most non-residents cannot get. Another amazing factor is when you have your residency, you have access to some of the best private healthcare in the world, and you'll get seen to immediately. So therefore, you'll get priority and the attention that you need. The next thing is the freedom to leave for months without even losing your residency visa. Now, there's a big difference between being a tax resident here and just having your residency here and being able to freely roam around the country, live elsewhere, and still be able to have your Emirates ID in Dubai, or the UAE, I should say. Now, being a tax resident, you do have to spend majority of the time here, of course. You have to make your income here, you should work here, all of that. But that's a completely separate topic that we can discuss later. Leading on from that, as an example, setting up up a business here becomes 10 times easier, which is great for people who want to restructure and earn tax-free income. And lastly, the visa will boost the likelihood of you getting a mortgage here in the UAE. So not only does it increase the likelihood, but your down payment becomes drastically lower. In short, your life just gets simpler and you can live on easy mode. No setup problems, no yearly stress, just clean, simple access to the UAE. Now, you're probably thinking, okay, Aidan, I'll buy, but where? Now that's the key thing. But if you're gonna buy just to get the visa, then you may as well make capital appreciation while you're at it. So here's my personal top 3 investments that I'm advising my own clients on buying today. The first one is, of course, Arabian Ranches 3. Now, the reason Arabian Ranches 3 is such a good investment today is that it's a mature community. It's got a proven track record. Not only has it got Ranches 1 and Ranches 2, Ranches 3 within itself has already proven to make significant appreciation. However, the project is still not complete for another 3 years, which means there's massive upside potential to still make up to 50% return on your investment. If you want to know more about Arabian Ranches 3 as a whole, I've actually made a previous video on it. I'm going to link that video in the first part of the description below so you can go and check that out. The second one is Dubai Hills Estate. Now, why do I pick Dubai Hills Estate and such a contrast to Arabian Ranches 3? Well, they're both developed by Emaar. They're both great communities, but Dubai Hills Estate is a lot more mature. It's been around for a lot longer and it is classed as the central part of Dubai. The location is perfect. Accessibility, the mall, the parks, the golf course. It is the epitome of what a community should look like. Now, Dubai Hills is a stable investment. A lot of owners have made massive appreciation over the last 5 years. However, there is still some room for growth, but not as much as newer communities like Ranches 3. What's great about Dubai Hills Estate is if you're looking for rental return, you can buy and rent it out the next day, no problem, and you can secure having a long-term family tenant without any stress. And finally, the last one is Expo. Now, why do I say Expo? Well, not many places in Dubai where you can enter into a new community off plan with an attractive payment plan for an entry price of 2 million dirham, which is the threshold for the golden visa. Now, of course, there is many developers launching products around Dubai for the 2 million dirham range, but are you going to reap the rewards in them areas? That's the key. Expo City is a phenomenal area for investment and capital appreciation, also being at a really attractive entry price and still being able to get your golden visa. Now, Expo as an investment, you can go and purchase something from developer directly for around the 2 million dirham range whilst leveraging that payment plan from the developer. Now, I've listed 3 communities and it's more about what suits you best. You can go and buy off-plan Expo and pay 10% and you can get your golden visa and leverage that payment plan. However, if you buy in Ranches 3, there is nothing that you can buy from the developer. Everything's sold out, which means that every asset in Ranches 3 is off-plan resale, which means that you can still take an off-plan property, but you have to put in a lot more liquid cash, around 50, 60, or even 70% of the original price, plus the premium that owner's already made. But you can still ride that wave and make appreciation on the back end, but there's a lot more liquid needed. Looking across all 3 options, you can actually go in for off-plan with developer, where you can leverage the payment plan and only have to spend 10% of the 2 million in order to get your residency here. Or you can purchase something off-plan resale, which is handing over in maybe 12 months time, 6 months time, a lot more liquid cash required up front, but as long as the asset value is above 2 mil, or you can go in for something ready, like the Dubai Hills Estate, you can pick up a unit that's handed over, ready to be rented out, or even ready to be moved in straight away as a family, and you can mortgage that, but your mortgage would be 40% down and 60% from the bank because you're currently a non-resident. Once you have your residency here, there is options that you can look into, like refinancing and actually taking a new mortgage once you're a resident and lending 80% from the bank against the new current value of the asset. So that's a completely different topic we can discuss, but it's also a very smart move for people who are looking to move here. Leverage more from the bank once they have the visa, because before you have the visa, unfortunately, you cannot lend so much from the bank. Each of these options will all get you the golden visa and will still give you long-term, strong capital appreciation over the next 3 to 5 years. You're not just paying to buy the papers and get a visa. You're buying real assets. Assets that appreciate in value, that bring you strong rental returns, and assets that you can flip for a profit in the future. Now, let's take a look from another perspective. Let's say you're not an investor and you're just a homeowner who wants to move here, bring the family, live in a nice house. In that case, there isn't one best area, and I cannot advise you on that because you have to make sure that that area that you're going to buy in makes sense for you and it's where you're going to live and settle down. But it's not all about the numbers for you guys. It's about the lifestyle and the communities in which you live. Where are the schools? schools, or the closest park, accessibility to work as well. These are all factors that have to be considered from yourself, and we can discuss them options separately. At the end of the day, end users' decisions are personal, whereas investors' decisions are based off metrics, numbers, ROI. There's a lot more logical decision that goes into it. As an end user, it's much more of an emotional decision. But when you're buying to live, it's about what suits you, and it's not about the numbers. I see people get confused between the two all the time. You know, end users considering, well, this property is not going to appreciate in value, or I'm not going to make much on this in the long run. What if I want to resell it in the future? They're not thinking about the here and the now and what works best for them, what works best for the kids, their family, the community that they live. Okay, yeah, you could buy in an area that's at the peak of the prices, but what would you rather do? Buy an area that's at the peak prices and have a happy, fulfilled life, or buy an area that's off-plan, under construction? Maybe you won't be so satisfied in the current moment, but you're going to make money on it. As an end user, I know where I'd rather buy. So before you make that decision, get clear on actually what you want out of the property. Let's discuss about some common mistakes and how to avoid them. I see people mess up all the time. The first biggest mistake is that people think that they'll buy under 2 mil now, save a little bit and hope for appreciation, and then that asset doesn't appreciate because they bought in the wrong area, which means that they cannot obtain that golden visa, or they think that they'll upgrade later. And this is just a stepping stone for them to step up to that next level. But the problem is that they end up paying more fees in the long run. You've got to pay 4% for every transaction that you make as a buyer, which is land department fee, also known as stamp duty in the UK. And on top of that, you're paying broker fees. You know, you're paying broker fees on the resale and you're paying broker fees on the purchase. So you end up spending a lot more when you're better off just going in, getting the 2 million dirham asset and getting your golden visa. The second mistake is people who buy ready stock with no resale plan. So they actually buy it as a bit of a holding asset and they just leave it vacant because that's their property that's going to give them the visa. But what they don't consider is, what if they actually need to liquidate the asset in the future? Is it a good area for investment? Is it going to rent out well? Is it easily exitable? How liquid is the asset? The third mistake, linking back to what we've said before, is that people overlook the mortgage route. They think that they need to put 2 million dirhams in equity to obtain a visa, but that's not true. I've mentioned it before. You can leverage money from the bank, you can lend 60% as a non-resident, and then you can get your golden visa here in Dubai. The point I'm trying to deliver here is, don't get stuck and hung up on the fact that you don't have a clear plan or a structure, because at the end of the day, you probably don't actually know what you're eligible for. So let's quickly have a recap. The golden visa is your ticket to a 10-year residency here in the UAE, which is of course renewable. You qualify by owning over 2 million dirhams worth of property here in the UAE. It unlocks things like banking, business, premium healthcare, lifestyle, freedom, the list goes on. And the best part about it is, if you buy right, you're not just paying for a visa, you're actually getting return on investment. So eventually the visa will be covered purely off the money that you're making from the investment that you made. Now, if you want the right strategy to follow, you want the A to Z process from finding the right area to buy, making sure it's the right property, to obtaining the visa and making sure you have all the approvals in check to have your residency here, well, click the link in the description below and it'll take you directly to my WhatsApp, where I can guide you and help you develop the right strategy to ensure that you're making the best financial decision. Let's make your next investment the one that will unlock Dubai for you. And that is the Golden Visa Playbook. That's all for today. And as always, I'll see you in the next video.